Hello, beer tubers, and welcome to another beer review with me, Peter, the master of hoppets. Today, checking out another beer that I got from Beer Dome, the fantastic Dutch web shop that's been supplying the channel with loads of amazing beer for quite a few years now. So thanks a ton to Beer Dome for the beer. Check them out. They just had a crazy American drop. They still have quite a few different beers left. So check them out. Link for their shop is down below. So this is a collab between two very famous breweries, one being very legendary. The other one I'd say is also approaching to go into that status, I guess. But this is a collab between Omnipollo and Sierra Nevada. Who would have thought? This is crazy. Omnipollo has just been making many like really crazy collabs this past year or two. With so many different really well-renowned breweries, which is awesome. And they have, it's just been really fun to follow. I've been lucky enough to try quite a few of them, just both because Hinnock sent me cans or just pick them up like on Beer Dome or other places just online. This one I picked up on Beer Dome because I thought this was a must try because it's a collab with Sierra Nevada. Like, who would not want to try that? So they brewed two collabs with Sierra Nevada. I think they brewed this and they brewed two in the States. And I think the latest was a mashup between Torpedo IPA and Nipocanesa, which is one of the first IPAs I think that Omnipollo ever did. I used to love that beer hard. I haven't had it in a long time. That'd be fun to revisit sometime because it was one of the beers I really raved about back in the day. So this one is called Maze. And I wonder if it's a like hybrid between Sierra Nevada's Pale Ale and Mas, which was previously known as Masserie, which is a pale ale American pale ale that Omnipollo did. And I still think they still do it from time to time. So this here is 5.6%, and it's a whole cone hopped pale ale, American pale ale with whole cone, Cascade, and Simcoe hops. So not something you hear happen a lot like these days. Everyone uses pellets, all these crazy new hop products like Cryo and Hyper Boost, Dino Boost, Sub-Zero Hop Keeft, Amplifier there's so many things. So this is back to basics. So let's check it out. So pours a lightly hazy kind of rust orange color. It looks nice. It looks similar to like what I think of when I think Sierra Nevada beers. Maybe a little bit paler than their pale ale. It looks the same, I think, on camera, but here in real life, it's a bit more pale. It's got a white head that poured out nice and frothy. Let's check out the aroma on this one. It smells really old money. This reminds me of home brewing to some extent because I can totally smell the whole cone hops. It's whole cone hops have very distinct aromatics when you rub them and you smell them. It's not the same like concentrated nuance as like fresh like pellets, T90 pellets. And I'm smelling a massive portion of Cascade. And I'm not sure if I'm the biggest fan of Cascade anymore. I recently brewed with Cascade Cryo and I don't know. I think it's how you use it. If you do a really old money beer with loads of old school hops, it probably works, but yeah, it's like piney, grapefruity, resiny. There's like some sweet, sticky, resiny tree sap thing going on here. But there's also a slight weird, like, what is this? Is it like plant tea leaf? That's it. Tea leaf. I got that all the time in old school West Coast beers and stuff like that. Like tea leafy hops. This can is also about 2 months old when I drink it, so it's not like super fresh. But because you use crystal malts and like, I'm wondering if it's kettle hops and boiling for a long time and all this, or not a long time, but at least 60 minutes. There's just something which you don't get in a lot of modern beers with age. You don't get the tea leaf thing. I'm getting that like black tea, Earl Grey tea. This is like one of the most old school smelling beers that I think I've ever smelled from Omnipollo. And it's not like super dank or anything. It's like got some creamy fruitiness, maybe even red apple notes. Almost like slightly floral and soapy to some extent. And I think there's like a little bit of a crystal malty-esque thing. Like there's some sweetness here that reminds me of like a little touch of crystal malt. I'm not sure if they put that in, but there's just something that reminds me of the crystal malt aromas you used to get in like old school IPAs and pale ales. It smells really damn old money. Let's try it. Cheers. Thanks to Beer Dome for the beer. Much, much, much more bitter than I think any Omnipollo beer I've had in a while. Well, Brain Pick, the collab with Firestone, was definitely also bitter. This has that like scraping bitter grape. This tastes so much like fucking Cascade. It just tastes like so old school. I like it, but I don't get fired up about Cascade anymore. Like, again, as I said, I just brewed with it. Cascade Cryo. It's like, it's just like supercharged grapefruit, pithy, bitter, tea leafy flavors. I don't know how much I like that in IPAs anymore. It's fun once in a while. It works a little bit. It works well in some beers, I must say. Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, for instance, or like something like Sierra Nevada Celebration is also like still such a banger. But I'm not just sold all the time. I just want some more bright fruitiness these days in my IPAs. It's fun to see how a lot of beer tubers are going backwards, like Joe, wanting more of that old school Sierra Nevada type flavor, just loving it hard, going further away from the at least some modern West Coast. For me, I really like maybe the hybrid of the two or the modern stuff. Like, I still like some old school IPAs, old school West Coast and stuff like that, but I don't get as fired up about them. Then it should be like the classic San Diegan IPAs that are still quite fruity, like almost like most of the class, like Swami's. That's not like this at all. It's a bit more fruity and modern, but it's still not completely like the crazy modern West Coasts. So I prefer something like along those lines, I think, and then the modern stuff compared to this. Unless it's like Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, when I had that recently, was still fantastic. I don't think this is as good as Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, but still a good beer. I've seen very mixed responses on this beer. Some people talking about it's heavily oxidized. Some people are talking about sweaty. Some people are talking about there's so many different things, and some people are really enjoying it. I think, also having recently brewed with Cascade, you guys forgot how Cascade tasted. This tastes like Cascade. This is a exact flavor I get in the recent beer I just brewed, where it's just like a tiny portion of Cascade. It just has this just underlying tea leafy, maybe not so much tea leafy, but really bitter, grapefruity, black tea notes. Grapefruit, black tea, pine kind of notes. And pepper, heavily peppery, like spicy. It doesn't have the same kind of bright pineapple notes you can get from Simcoe as well. Like, it's all grapefruit, sugar-coated grapefruit, kind of like you got in the old school West Coast beers. And then like a touch of crystal malty sweetness without being too much. And a really nice lingering bitterness. This is a really fun collab. I think so. It's fun to see. Like, this is not their highest praised beer. And that's because this is so old money. I still think this tastes like a great beer. Maybe a good beer. It's definitely a well-made pale ale. But it's just fun to see so many like new money people really disliking that. And I can totally understand it, because this is nothing like modern beers. Like, this is so much more attacking your palate, and it's more bitter. It's a little bit more sweet. It's just like, it's like that old school combination. It's almost like if you think of, I guess to some extent Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, but also if you think of drinking old school, more malty, hoppy beers back in the day, there's so many examples. But it's like that. Old school, malty, hoppy beer that's really bitter. That's how this is. But hey, this was really fun. In terms of a grade for Maize by Omnipollo and Sierra Nevada, 2 months in, it's good. But I'm not sure if it completely breaches 90. It's like 88, around that territory, I think. Maybe it's a 90, but it's just like, if I was asked if I wanted this or a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, I'd take the Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. Even the stuff that's, distroed over here. I think there's just a little bit better constructed and more cohesive. I guess I just really want a little bit more fruitiness to balance out all those spicy notes and whatever. But it's still a good beer. It's definitely a recommendation, I think. Like, it's a legendary collab. If you ever drunk Sierra Nevada, you need to try this. Like, this is crazy that they got to do this. It must be another crazy bucket list collab. So if you guys had a chance to try Omnipollo and Sierra Nevada's Maze, let me know what you thought of it. Thanks a ton to Beer Dome for the beer. And as always, remember to comment, subscribe, check out the Facebook fan page and Twitter and Instagram, and give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and ring the bell for future notifications about videos. And I'm going to say cheers, and see you guys in another beer review.